Welcome to the Virgin London Marathon Show 2012, and I'm joined by a very interesting guest today, Sam Lambourne. You are interesting because actually I'm trying to work it out, and I reckon you must be close on a world record, because I can't believe that 100 marathons under 2:30 is not close to a world record of some sort.
Yeah, I think maybe there's a couple of other people that are actually faster than me. I think Caleric Scar ran more than me at a faster time, and Mark Pickard ran very similar, and there were a couple of other people around that ran a lot, but it's really the numbers, you know. Yeah, so I kept running. I ran about 10 a year for about 10 years.
Did you never get injured?
Never, no. I'm injured now, but I never got injured then, never.
Amazing.
No problems other than standing on a stone or something like that, you know.
Something silly.
Something silly. Yeah, silly stuff, you know.
And you're obviously you're very comfortable at the London Marathon. You haven't raced it for a while, but you did race the first 16 ever London marathons,
yeah.
with the best time of 2:18.
2:18, yeah. I really enjoyed London. Really enjoyed it. It's an amazing event. I remember the first one. It was fantastic. We just didn't know what we were doing. You know what I mean? 4:36 for the first mile or something. It was ridiculous. There was some nutter called Jimmy, you know, Scottish, and it went off flat out, you know, and everyone followed, and it was just ridiculous. And the other story about the very first one is that we went through Oddbin's yard.
Oddbin's yard?
Yeah, out in the East End, or about 15, 18 miles away. It went in one gate of their yard and out the other. They had all the girls there. We were in about the second or third group, you know, doing 5-minute miling or whatever, and the girls there had trays of Bucks Fizz in glass champagne flutes. So I think some of the faster ones didn't even touch them, but I went grab like you do. But you're going through fast and shattered about 16 of these bloody glass champagne floats. I just thought that ridiculous. You know, people don't know what they're doing, you know. They don't know. So I must have been one of the very first people to have, A, had some Bucks Fizz on the way round, and B, you know, you knocked them all over. I think they probably learnt after that, you know. It was just bizarre, you know. But I loved the first one. I loved them all.
But I mean, it's obviously changed significantly since that first race and the detour around Oddbins. And what for you are the biggest changes that you've seen to London over the years? Well,
it's difficult to say the biggest change. The biggest change, obviously, is the number, but I think the standard. Really, I think with the first one, the difference I noticed is the person. When we went to the first one, you had to queue up to register or something. I can't remember exactly how it went, but you went in the queue, which was somewhere bizarre, like Trocadillo or something, somewhere in London. You went there, and you could spot a marathon runner because they didn't carry any weight. You know, they were fit. And you saw these thousands of marathon runners, because there was a few thousand did it, and they were all thin and fast, you know, and plus of course in Europe. Now they're a different person, they're different, just all shapes and sizes, everything, and they're just, it's wrong to say the man off the street, but they're not the same person. Yeah. And the standard is different. It's just the approach is different. I mean,
you've got all ages, shapes, sizes, bringing the charities in. You know, you're lots of
no complaint, but the idea now is to do it, whereas when our day the idea was to run fast. Yeah. It was all about performance. It was about how fast you ran, because you used London to get your fast time because it was a flat course and all that, you know. And there weren't that many marathons around in those days, so it was still pretty new. You know, we'd heard of this one in New York where, you know, lots of people went to, you know, and then the London one, and I remember being really surprised at how many people did it and how many people finished. I thought, oh, there'll be a few hundred maybe, you know. But I don't know, about 5,000 or something in the first one. I just didn't realise there were 5,000 marathon runners, you know, because you go to, you know, the Poly or the whatever, the established marathons, and there's 200 or 300 people there, you know, so you thought, oh, maybe it's a big one, maybe it's going to be 500 or something. But I just remember being surprised at how many people were there, and basically how fast they all ran. You know, it was a high standard, it really was. Everyone kind of went, you know, every marathon runner, not only the imports, you know, the invited, but everyone from the country and Europe went, you know, to it. It was great.
You are a bit of a Forrest Gump, aren't you? I mean, 10 marathons a year. I mean, these days runners they're just a bit, let's use the word cautious. They're much more cautious, and there you were running, 10 marathons a year.
Yes,
I mean, that's kind of unheard of, really.
Yeah, well, more circumstance, sort of just by default, I was training, we all trained hard, and this was really very early days of marathon running, Nobody really knew much about it, so we developed a system. With our group, I said, well, what we'll do is instead of running 10 miles a day like everyone does, what we'll do is we'll do a 10-mile run on Sunday, but we'll do 10 miles afterwards, so make it 20. So we sort of did it twice, and then in midweek we said, well, we'll go on Wednesday nights and we'll do a 20-mile run every Wednesday as well. So we did 20. Basically a handful of us, and it was flat out. It was 6-minute miling, training pace, flat out, 20 miles on Wednesdays, 20 miles every Sunday. So when someone phoned up and said, it was a marathon in somewhere, you just said, yeah, all right, you didn't need any notice, you just went and ran it. Didn't need to prepare for it, because if one came up, you could cope with it.
Sam, where did your passion for running come from? Because that's it must have been a pretty big passion you had to have run that amount of races.
I really enjoyed it. I was more, in the olden days, I was a club runner, I joined the club. I ran well at school. I ran at school, and sort of, the usual stuff, win the cross country or something. And what happened then was, I didn't know in those days that you could join an athletics club. I thought you had to be invited or you had to be good or whatever, but I wanted to run. And I never knew, and it wasn't until I met someone who said, oh, go to the club. And I said, well, can anyone go then? So I went to the club and ran a 3,000 that they held, a club 3,000, and for some reason I won it, but that was beside the point, and really, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not going to say I was a natural runner, I was a bit of a natural distance runner. I wasn't fast, I wasn't that fast, I was okay over distance. I remember my first ever run was something like 15 miles, or 14, one of the guys I was with said, oh, let's go for a run or something. And we took a bet, we'll go run to Shoreham and back, which was about 7 miles away, So I just went flat out to Shoreham and back, thinking he was going to catch me up, and the other guy, they only went 2 miles down the road and packed up.
So your first run ever was a 15-mile run?
Yeah.
Legs a bit sore at the end of it?
No, nothing of it,
So you still running these days or not? You mentioned an injury.
Running, I've got one cartilage, right knee cartilage, which hurts, so I shuffle a bit. It's pretty pathetic what I do. I cycle a bit, I coach a lot, so I'm still out with the group coaching them. I do 4 hours on Sunday, but I go on my bike, I go on my mountain bike and take them over the hills and the mud and so on. So we got a lot running today, but we also had a lot, because with the Breton Marathon starting now the week before London, we have a lot doing that. So I still just about run. It's pretty pathetic, but I still do it.
Wow.
With my old cronies, once, twice a week we go out on the cliff top and shuffle along and then go and eat cake in the calf, usual stuff.
You should do after 100 marathons. You also, obviously, your passion has led you to open the jog shop in Brighton.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about the jog shop.
Well, again, since the story of my life, just by default, I started off as, I was a builder to start with, but then I started off because I had an odd upbringing, an odd education,
Unconventional.
Unconventional, yeah. So I ended up with nothing. Although I was educated, I ended up with nothing because. I liked clothing manufacturer. I was a machinist, so I bought my own machines in me flat and started, making stuff. And then I thought, well, I need a bigger room for a cutting table to work from. So I found this place, and I'd happened to work in a running shop in San Diego when I was lived over there for a few years in the sort of early 70s, I suppose. Yeah. I'd lived over there and run with the lot over there, which was brilliant. And then come back, and then this place I got, I put a shop front on and turned it into a shop, and I sort of thought, well, if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, I'll carry on with me manufacturing. So, and it did work. So, so it's almost by default, yeah. So I was in the running scene, and then I had a little bit of knowledge of sort of specialist running shops, you know, from America, because they really were only in America then. You know, there was a couple in England, yeah, Ronell and so on, and a couple of others, yeah.
So what does the jog shop stock? Basically anything to do with running?
It's a classic running shop, one of everything. We carry every running shoe on the market. We do all the accessories, all the clothing, everything running really. You know, performance based. You know, yeah, it's great because every day, you know, I'm talking to people. They're all the people I sort of know and sort of, you know, not the same one type, but you know, people I have coming in common with. So it's not hard work. You know, I quite enjoy it. Even now, I still quite enjoy it, you know. Yeah.
So how does this week change for you? You're obviously down here at the show.
I'm here at the show helping out a couple of people. I've got a lot of friends in the trade, you know, so I'm helping out a couple of friends in the trade. Plus I'm meeting people up here. I've got a few people to meet. Go on, I'll just press that. Yes, I've got a few people to meet, so I'm just here. Yeah.
And when we spoke with Mike Grattan earlier, who's obviously a friend of yours, you have trained with him in the, in the past, a few moons ago now. He made predictions for Sunday's races for the men and women's race. So can we have time predictions for?
It'll be fast. Well, it depends on the weather. It depends on the wind more than the weather.
Yeah, that was the point he made. Yeah.
If it's a headwind coming in, yeah, the last few miles it might slow it by, you know, almost a minute. But the Kenyans are up against each other, you know, their main worry is each other, not anything else. They don't worry about anyone else, they just worry about themselves. You know, they want to be top African, that's their key.
It's going to be quite a big race for some nations because it's still going to be qualifying for...
It's going to be very big. I would say, you know, well, I was impressed with last year. Bloody hell, that was fast.
205?
205, yeah, I think the same again. Someone's going to have to stick it in at the end to break everyone. Someone is going to have to go with 5 miles to go, 4 miles to go, and you know, just put their head down and hammer it. You know, like he did last year, which I did last year. You know, really put his head down for about 4 or 5 miles. Yeah. I watched
just to get on.
Yeah, because I do the photographs for the installation, so I was on the lead flow, so I saw it all. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
And the women's race, obviously we've seen Paula run some stunning races and some stunning times here, but of late, the times at London for the women haven't been perhaps as fast as we might have expected. So, any thought for the women's race?
Well, I'm assuming the Kenyans are using the women's race as well as their standard. Well, there's 2 or 3 there that can run, you know, 220 low, you know. Yeah, 220 low, 220. Yeah, that's what I reckon. Yeah, it's going to be. Again, they'll be out to kill each other, you know. And again, one of them will have to put the hammer down with 5 or so miles to go. They'll have to in order to get away from everyone. So they'll all run at a fairly steady pace for a while with them. So, you know, they're probably a pacemakers or something. They'll all run in a group at a fairly steady pace, but someone will have to put the hammer down at some stage. They will just have to, if they want to get the place for the Olympic trials, you know. So, yeah, that's my reckoning. It's going to be quite fast all round, simply because of that.
Yeah, keep our fingers crossed for the weather.
Yes, it's the wind that's going to make the difference to the time. Yeah. The wind, because for some reason, always, you know, every time I've done it, wind going when you're going up the river, you know, it's like I always liken it to us at home running on the cliff top with the sea on your left hand side going into the wind. Every single day we run into the wind going home, you know, and I just feel that you get the same sort of thing. You have water on the left of the river and then you have that wind in your left ear, you know, always, you know. Yeah, wind is going to be the critical factor, but I've really studied the weather forecast, so I don't know.
I think it's going to be much of what it is this week as well, so not great.
Brilliant, but it's not going to be too bad. Yeah.
Sam, lovely to talk to you. I am in awe of your 100 marathons, sub 2:30, and I hope we see you again soon.
Yes. Well, thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Okay.